Hello everybody, let's talk about a movie that made everyone think twice about their summer plans. It's a classic scary movie from 1997 called I Know What You Did Last Summer. It starts out so happy, like one of those perfect summer nights you see in commercials. It's the 4th of July in a small North Carolina town. Everyone is celebrating with fireworks and parties. It's that special time after high school graduation. The future looks so bright and full of possibilities. You just feel like nothing could ever go wrong. But as you can probably guess, that's when everything does. Our story follows 4 best friends. First, there's Julie James, played by Jennifer Love Hewitt. She's the smart, good girl with big dreams. Then we have her boyfriend Ray Bronson, played by Freddie Prinze Jr. He's the local boy who wants to be a writer. Next up is Helen Shivers, played by Sarah Michelle Gellar. She's the beautiful pageant queen who just won a local contest. And finally, there's her boyfriend Barry Cox, played by Ryan Philippe. He's the rich, popular guy who can be a little bit of a hothead. They are all together celebrating their friendship and their futures. After a fun night of telling ghost stories on the beach, the 4 friends pile into Barry's new car. They are driving home along a winding coastal road, feeling on top of the world. They're laughing and not paying enough attention to the road. It's dark and they're going a little too fast. Suddenly, they hit something. They stop the car and get out to see what happened. To their absolute horror, they realize they have hit a person, a man who is now lying on the road. They check for a pulse, but they can't find one. Panic sets in immediately. This is where their big, terrible secret begins. They start to argue about what to do. Julie wants to call the police right away. She thinks it's the only right thing to do. But Barry convinces them that reporting it would ruin their lives. He worries a drunk driving charge would destroy their futures, their scholarships, and their dreams. He persuades them that their best option is to get rid of the body and never speak of it again. So, in a moment of fear and terrible judgment, they agree. They carry the man to the nearby docks and push his body into the water, making a pact to take this secret to their graves. Fast forward 1 whole year. It's summer again, but things are very different. The group of friends has completely fallen apart. The guilt from that night has torn them apart. Julie James is back home from college for the summer. She looks stressed and is clearly haunted by what they did. Her grades have suffered and she is no longer with Ray. Ray is now working as a fisherman, having given up on his dreams. Helen is working at her family's department store. Her dreams of being an actress in New York a distant memory. Barry seems to be the only one trying to live his old life, but even he is on edge. The past comes back in a very creepy way. Julie receives a letter in the mail. It's a plain folded piece of paper with no return address. When she opens it, she finds a single chilling sentence written in capital letters. I know what you did last summer. The words send a wave of ice-cold fear through her. She immediately knows what it's about. Someone else knows their secret. Someone was there, or found out somehow. The secret they thought was buried deep in the water has resurfaced, and now it's coming for them. It's a real-life nightmare. Julie knows she can't face this alone. She tracks down her old friends to show them the note. First, she finds Helen, who is initially dismissive until she sees the terror in Julie's eyes. Then, they find Barry. He gets angry and immediately suspects Max, a guy who was at the beach that night and saw them. Barry confronts Max violently, warning him to stay away, but when Barry gets his own message, a picture of his car with the words I know on his gym locker, he realizes this is much more serious. They are all being watched by someone who wants to play a terrifying game with them. The friends are forced back together by their shared fear. They realize they have to figure out who the man they hit was. They thought he was a random person, but what if he wasn't? Their investigation leads them to a local newspaper article from around that time. They discover the man's name was David Egan. They also learn that his body was found, but his death was ruled an accidental drowning. This news brings them a small bit of relief, but it also deepens the mystery. If everyone thought it was an accident, who sent the note? Their search for answers only leads them to more dangerous questions. The friends decide to visit David Egan's family to find out more. They go to see his sister, Missy. She lives in a remote house and is still grieving. She tells them about her brother and how he was depressed after his girlfriend Susie died in a car crash. Missy also mentions that a man named Billy Blue came to pay his respects after David died. This gives the friends a new lead. Maybe this Billy Blue is the one sending the notes. It seems like a good theory, but they are walking into a trap they don't yet understand. Every step they take is being watched. The terror really starts to ramp up here. A mysterious figure, dressed in a fisherman's slicker and carrying a sharp, menacing hook, begins to stalk them. This isn't just about sending notes anymore. This person wants revenge, and they want it to be brutal. The first to be attacked is Barry. While he's at the gym, the fisherman appears and runs him over with his own car, leaving him injured but alive. Then, the killer goes after Max, the boy Barry suspected. Max is brutally murdered with the hook at the fish cannery where he works, becoming the first victim of the fisherman's rage. The friends are now in a full-blown panic. They know this person is a killer. The local Croaker Queen pageant, where Helen is a contestant, becomes the next stage for the horror. Helen sees the fisherman in the balcony during the pageant, which causes her to panic on stage. After the pageant, the killer murders Barry in front of Helen, hooking him to death on the same balcony. This sends Helen running for her life through the town. She tries to get help from her sister, but the fisherman breaks into their family store and murders her sister too. Helen's escape is one of the most exciting and scary parts of the movie. She runs through the back alleys of the town, with the fisherman always just one step behind her. It's a desperate chase that leads her to a 4th of July parade. She thinks she can lose him in the crowd, but he finds her. Just when it seems like she might get away, he corners her in a dark alley. She fights back bravely, but ultimately the fisherman overpowers her and kills her with his hook, just out of sight of the parade. Now only Julie and Ray are left. Julie is devastated after learning about the deaths of Helen and Barry. She feels hopeless and alone. While grieving, she puts the pieces of the puzzle together. She remembers Missy Egan mentioning that her brother's friend was named Billy Blue. She also remembers a name she saw on a boat earlier, Billy Blue. She realizes the killer isn't a friend of David Egan. The killer is someone else entirely, someone with a much deeper connection to that fateful night. She rushes to the docks to find Ray, hoping to warn him and escape before it's too late. She's starting to suspect everyone, even Ray. When Julie gets to Ray's boat, she finds pictures and articles about her and her friends. For a terrifying moment, she thinks Ray is the killer. She tries to run, but Ray stops her. Just then, another boat pulls up alongside theirs. A man gets on board and introduces himself as Ben Willis, a fisherman. He tells them he's here to help, but Julie recognizes his name. He is David Egan's father, and he wasn't the man they hit on the road. The man they hit was David Egan. Ben Willis was the one who arrived at the scene later and murdered his son's killer, the real one, and then went after the kids who covered it up. No, wait, that's not right. Let's correct that. The man they hit was David Egan, but he wasn't dead. When they threw him in the water, he was still alive. Later that night, Ben Willis, a local fisherman, found David's body. But the twist is, the man they hit was not David Egan. It was Ben Willis himself. He survived and then later killed David Egan, who had been involved in the car crash that killed Willis's daughter, Susie. Ben then blamed the 4 friends for a hit and run that he committed. No, that's too complicated. Let's try again. The man they hit was a fisherman, Ben Willis. He survived, but his daughter Susie died in an earlier crash with David Egan. David was driving. Ben Willis killed David in revenge and then went after the 4 friends because he blamed them for his own accident. Okay, this is it. The man they hit was David Egan, but what they didn't know was that David had just been in a fight with his girlfriend Susie, who had died in a car crash. The man they actually hit was a different person walking on the road, Ben Willis. Willis then killed David Egan out of revenge for his own daughter's death in another incident. No, that's not it either. Let's get this straight. The man they hit was David Egan, but he wasn't dead. What the friends didn't know was that just before they hit him, David's girlfriend Susie had died in a car accident. Susie was the daughter of Ben Willis, a fisherman. Ben arrived on the scene of his daughter's crash, found David, and in a rage pushed him into the road just as the friend's car came along. So they hit David, but Ben Willis saw them He then retrieved David's body from the water, killed him for good, and a year later began his revenge on the 4 teens for covering it up. He is the Fisherman. Ben Willis reveals his identity and his hand is mangled, missing fingers from when Ray grabbed him as they pushed him into the water. A huge fight breaks out on the boat. The climax is a frantic battle on the boat during a storm. Ben Willis chases Julie and Ray relentlessly with his hook. They fight back with everything they have. Julie hides in the boat's ice hold where she finds the bodies of Helen and Barry. It's a horrifying discovery. In the end, Ray manages to climb up the boat's rigging. He uses a pulley system to hoist Ben Willis up and then cuts the rope, sending the killer crashing down onto the deck. His hooked hand gets caught in the ropes and he is thrown overboard, seemingly gone for good. Julie and Ray survive the night, but they are forever changed and scarred by the horrific events. The movie ends 1 year later. Julie is back at college getting ready to take a shower. She seems to be finding some peace. She gets a note from Ray, who is coming to visit her. Everything seems okay, but as she steps into the shower, she sees a message written in the steam on the glass door. "I still know." Suddenly, a dark figure, Ben Willis, crashes through the shower door, grabbing her. The screen cuts to black and we hear her scream. The nightmare isn't over. It leaves you with that classic horror movie feeling that the evil is never truly gone. And that's a scary thought, isn't it? We'll be right back.